Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance, National Parts Depot and Penrite Oil. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Classic Restos. Of course, not possible without the continued support of Shannons Insurance, National Parts Depot and Penrite Oil. Look at this gorgeous 1959 Lincoln Continental. If you have a classic car, you'd be crazy not to have it insured by Shannons Insurance. They offer us as the enthusiast just so much. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call, 134646 for a quote or to help keep the others honest. You can also visit Shannons online at shannons.com.au, and while you're there online, have a look around. It's an extensive website. You can also sign up and become a member of the Shannons Club. If you own a classic American GM or Ford product and you would like to restore it, well then National Parts Depot is pretty hard to beat. And why? Well, how about a 3 million part inventory for starters? They'll send you a catalogue pertaining to your type of vehicle for restoration. You can contact National Parts Depot at npdlink.com and they freight to Australia and New Zealand every day of the week. When it comes time for oil, you can't go past Penrite Oil. If it's got a crankshaft, a camshaft, push rods, pistons and valves, it'll take Penrite. And Penrite has extra zinc, which is ideal for older engines. Penrite also offer you a tech line where you can call and speak to a real person suiting the application of your particular type of engine. Penrite has been around since 1926. They're Australian owned and they're also a family company, being fantastic to deal with. You can find out more when you visit Penrite and penriteoil.com.au. Penrite, simply a better class of oil. And on today's Detroit-based episode of Classic Restos, I've travelled some 2.5 hours from Detroit to the township of Grand Rapids to show you a private car collection. But it gets better. This private car collection is owned by a group of retired gentlemen, and I'll say one thing, their knowledge cannot be underestimated. Don, how are you?
Great. And you?
I'm wonderfully well. It's great to be back here. We caught up with Don last year when we did the Detroit trip. But this time, it's to see Don's private collection. There's just a few things here that I'd like to share with you. Now, Don, behind us, we've got this glorious 1936 Buick. Tell us quickly about it.
Okay, 1936 Buick Fletch has a straight 8, 320 cubic inches. It's a great tour car. And it tours very well with that 1936 Bolus travel trailer.
Back in its day, a top-end car, I mean, it's a big car.
Yes, it's a big car, 131-inch wheelbase, and it weighs a lot. It weighs over 4,000 pounds, but it's a great touring car.
Don't you just love the sweeping fenders and the way that the spare wheel sits in there? I mean, that's just a work of art, isn't it?
Yes, it is. This was called Art Deco styling, and the people loved it. 36 was a good year for Buick, and they, in the early 30s, they were even thinking about shutting Buick down because of the Depression, but it survived.
It was certainly a turbulent time for a lot of the world back in those days. I can't help but notice every time I look at these cars, the amount of legroom in the back. I mean, no wonder they make sensational wedding cars. I mean, they are huge there, aren't they?
Yes, they are, and if you want to look at it, we can look at it too.
Absolutely. Now, talking of looking at things, time for the caravan. Well, we've been in Australia and New Zealand and other parts of the world, I guess they call them caravans. Again, what do you call it?
Camper trailer.
A camper trailer. Well, why not call it a camper trailer? Now, 1936, same year as the car.
Correct.
You would have been, back in the day, if you could have afforded that brand new and that brand new, boy, you would have been doing okay.
Yes. In fact, that's why the trailer ceased to be manufactured after 3 years, because they were $5,000. They're made out of aircraft aluminum. The trailer is very lightweight because it was designed by an aeronautical engineer and built by an aeronautical engineer.
We've got shots on screen now of inside. Now, it's had a revamp. Obviously, it wouldn't have looked like that in 36. What have you done to it?
Actually, we pretty much copied what it looked like back in 1936.
Really?
We had the original paneling. We tried to duplicate it the best we can. Yes, it's modern materials.
I mean, yeah, you see, with all due respects, I shouldn't have underestimated the man. I mean, of course it would have been period correct. When this guy does something, boy, does he do it big. It is, it's really nice. I mean, it's certainly cozy in there.
Yes, it's very cozy. But my wife and I have had 2 grandchildren in there sleeping, and my wife and I did take an extensive trip in it, 1,500 miles, with 13 consecutive nights camping in it.
Good on you. Okay, now, Don, it's a Buick, but obviously General Motors. Love what General Motors did in 1955, the release of their V8. We have this chassis here that's been redone. Every component has been reconditioned or new. Now, even the timber work to duplicate the firewall, even the attention to detail there, it's been done correctly. I mean, there's nothing rough here.
Correct. And we have an awesome group of volunteers that do these cars and had also did the Futureliner. It's the same group of people. They have so many talents.
Absolutely. Don, not a stupid question, but driving this around like that, it must fly. I mean, it's just got an engine and a chassis. I mean, the thing must be a hoot to drive.
Well, it is, and you have to stay off the accelerator because right away the back wheels spin.
Riding around in that chassis and a seat, that was a blast. I could have done that all day. This 1942 Buick 8, lovely, absolutely beautiful. And how does it run, being the straight 8?
It runs great. These old Buick straight 8s are so smooth.
It is so windswept. Isn't it amazing? We had these rounded cars so long ago. 60s, they went square like a shoebox.
Correct.
70s were pretty well the same. But cut a long story short, it's done a full circle because modern cars of today have gone rounded again.
Rounded again, right. In fact, these cars were designed specifically for aerodynamics.
So is that safe to say that back in 1942, these cars were half a century ahead of themselves in some respects?
Yes, they were ahead of themselves. In fact, the whole industry was gradually switching to this style.
Good on you, Don. Pleasure catching up with you. Thank you so much for inviting us here to your property and seeing your private car collection. Well, just some. All going to plan. We'll see you again next year.
Oh, great.
It's been a pleasure catching up with you again.
Okay, great. And Fletch, this has been a privilege.
Good on you, mate. And thanks for lunch, too.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
You know, the Detroit region is a beautiful tourist destination. The people are friendly and they appreciate tourism. If you would like to see some of this amazing area of the United States of America in conjunction with museums, exclusive car collections and the legendary Woodward Dream Cruise, then perhaps you may consider a Fletch tour in 2014. Send me an email via classicrestos.com.au. It would be great to have you along. How are you, Ed?
Well, wonderful. Beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. Maybe you'd like to share your 1959 Lincoln with us.
Yeah, this is our 59 Lincoln. I bought it off a used car lot.
This Lincoln is probably one of the biggest cars ever made, right?
This is the biggest Lincoln ever made. It's a unitized body, which is very unique.
Ed, run through some of the luxury features that the 1959 Lincoln had.
It's got power brakes, power steering, of course. All the windows are powered. Even that little vent window on the side of the car is powered. And there's a lot of electric motors in this car. When the top goes up, there's little electric motors that tighten the top down.
Like a worm drive. Under the hood, what's going on there? What size engine?
There's a 430 cubic inch engine under there, big V8.
430 cubes in 1959. That's amazing.
Yes, it is. It sure is. This is a K model Lincoln. Right. This is the big Lincoln. They made a Lincoln Zephyr too in '39, but
I was about to say, did they ever make a small Lincoln?
Well, they were still V12s and everything in '39, but they made a Continental.
All right. So the one on our right-hand side here, what's the difference between that one and this one here?
Well, the Lincoln Zephyr is a smaller car by quite a bit. Right. It's got a 292 cubic inch V12 engine. Yeah. Where the K model here has a 414 cubic inch engine.
Okay, so we're talking 1939, we're talking full-length chassis. In terms of the ride, I mean, I know it's a long wheelbase car. Are they a hard ride, Ed?
No, it's a very comfortable ride. It's a 145-inch wheelbase on this one, and it rides like a dream.
But again, we look at this windswept styling over the fenders and the spare wheels sitting in those fenders. The grille slats on the side of the engine cowls, highlighted with that pencil chrome. We've got gorgeous grille out front. Very proud, too, to state that it's a V12, yes, as by the emblem there.
Yes, it is. We're very proud to own this car, I'll tell you that.
Thank you again, Ed. I really appreciate you being on Classic Restos.
Okay, it's been a joy to be here. You bet.
Now stick around, because after the break we're going to be travelling around about 10 miles from here to a guy's name by the name of Wes. And apparently he's got more cars than he can count with his shoes on, right?
Yes, yeah. He's got at least 50 or 60 or 70 cars.
I've got a wonderful opportunity here. Welcome to today's show, Wes.
Thank you, Fletch.
Wes, before we go any further, I have utmost respect for you. You've been around a long time. Would you like to share with us, what year were you born?
1924. That was a great year.
Wow. So you're turning 90 pretty soon.
Shortly. Yeah.
Isn't he amazing? He's incredible. Now, you've been in the motor industry. You used to have a garage. This is like an American Pickers type setup here. It's amazing. There's sheds all over the yard. He's got memorabilia everywhere, lots of signs, of course, an awesome car collection. But before we go any further, just a little bit about your history. Now, there's a model of your garage or your service station in there.
Yeah. My kids had that made for me before I retired, and it just blew me away. The fellow that built the model, he said, he's still a neighbor and friend, but he said he couldn't do that again. A lot of these things that people do, just like us restoring that future liner, you can do it once, you can't do it twice. And
behind us we have a delightful baby bird. What's the story on that, Wes? How long have you had it? Tell us a little bit about the car.
I've had it probably 25 or 30 years. It was restored in '75 down in Florida. But when I got it to paint, it started to craze a little, so we stripped it down to the metal and repainted it. It's a great car. The thing I like about some of my cars, they're trouble-free. Just get them in and go, and I like that. Yeah.
You've got a shed full of cars, and you don't know. It's like opening Pandora's box. I mean, you open the doors of these sheds, and you don't know what you're going to find behind the doors. Different cars have just come along. Obviously, when you used to have your service station, you would have got to have known a lot of people, and you would have heard where these cars were at.
People ask me that all the time, and I guess I never really thought much about it. But it was like I was growing all the time, and I saw something and I could afford it, I bought it. And some of those cars I've had for, well, that hot rod Hudson in there, that yellow one looked like a bumblebee. That's sat in the back of my barn over here for probably 30 years anyway. And it was all rusted to pieces, but I got it done. I got to get all these things done before the end comes.
Well, you're not going anywhere just yet. Because you're not ready to go. You've still got too much to accomplish. And as I've always said with our senior fraternity into our car movement, while you've ever got these interests and these cars, that's what'll keep you young and that's what'll keep you going.
Well, I couldn't disagree with that. That along with whiskey.
There's your medication. Now, if I was to ask you now, another car that you would like to feature on today's show that you'd like to share with us, what would that be?
Oh, my Boattail Speedster, my 32 Auburn.
Oh, God, this stuff sends shivers down my spine. A 1932 Auburn Speedster. How long have you had this for, Wes?
Probably 55 years.
55 years?
5 years, yeah. It's my baby.
And you haven't considered trading it in over that time?
No, and I just every time I look at it, my hair stands up. It's just an awesome car.
This is one of the most stylish cars you could ever have. I mean, it's not on its own. There are others in the same category, but it's when you get next to one, that's when you appreciate it. The die casting around the front split screen, the fenders, the tyre and wheel in the fender, the leather straps holding the mirror on. But not only that, the sleek appearance down the side, the windswept styling, and of course, the wonderful V8 engine.
That's right, and Art Deco styling, because back in 1932, as far as I'm concerned, that was they didn't make a bad car in 1932. Every American car was a work of art.
Moving on through, as we do here in Wes's yard, we've got a gorgeous Olds 88. Tell us about this car.
Well, this car was a one-owner car, still had the original title, and he passed away, so I bought it from the estate. And I've had it now, I guess, 25 years or so.
Yeah, so so you've only just got that lately.
Time flies by so fast that it never ceases to amaze me.
Well, I mean, 25 years here at Wes's, it's a recent addition, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
These big full-size cars in the 50s, being two-door as well, I mean, aren't they sweet? I mean, they've got the most gorgeous lines. There's so much class. I often refer to it as the Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley era, you know.
Yeah, very good, very good. That describes it perfectly, yeah.
Which you'd remember only too well. They must have been great times.
It was. I've lived through a great period, and I had told that to an older man years ago. He probably died in the 50s, but he said, I've lived through the very best period. And sometimes I think he was probably right, because it was before a lot of this nonsense and
Political correctness.
Political correctness and drugs, and yeah, it just all that stuff bothers me a lot. But I was fortunate with my 6 kids. They never had that problem, so.
Well, you as a father and a mentor, I'm sure the 6 kids turned out fine, Wes.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, my girls come over here and work all the time in the yard and help me out. Now that I'm older, I appreciate everything that people do for me.
That's wonderful. Well, on that note, we're going to have to end the segment now. And, you know, I could really stand here and talk to you all day, and I've just thoroughly enjoyed this. I actually met Wes 12 months ago, a whole bunch of guys that restored the GM Futureliner, and this guy here was one of those guys. He's invited us back 12 months later, so it's just so nice, and I want to thank you so much, Wes.
Oh, thank you very much, Fletch. It's been a pleasure, a real pleasure. All of you fellas have been kind and funny. Yeah, you still got to start a comedy show or something.
Yeah. I did that once. All right, Wes, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Stick around, because after the break I'm going to bring you some exclusiveness, if that's a word, because we're off to the Michigan State Police Driver Training Ground. Back with more after this.
And I always used to say happiness is a full tank of gas.
Well, it's not every day of the week you're allowed in here. This is the Michigan State Police Driving Unit. To tell us more, here's Sergeant Mike McCarthy. Sergeant Mike McCarthy, how are you?
Hey, good afternoon, Fletch.
Look, I just want to thank you so much for your time out here this afternoon. This is a very interesting thing for Classic Restos, to travel from Australia here to Michigan, the heart of the nerve setter, where these guys are so trained, you're so disciplined. I mean, that goes for the entire United States of America, as all our cops. But to come to a precision driver training unit must be a blast for you guys as well.
Oh, absolutely. First off, let me welcome you into the Precision Driving Unit, and thank you for those comments as we started. Our facility here is we use it to train all of our new incoming recruits, and then we do in-service training for existing police officers, both for our department and for other departments all across both Michigan and the country. We've actually had people from many states around the country, and even people from overseas that have come here for additional training. So this is a map of our facility. We have a 1-mile road course. You can see the numbers on it. They're the turns that we grade for apex locations and braking and acceleration points. We have a 9-acre precision pad here where we teach a serpentine maneuver, controlled braking exercises, and evasive maneuvering exercises. This is a 3-acre skid pad, which, for being in the state of Michigan, we have a lot of bad road conditions in the winter. Very representative of wet ice. So when our recruits get out here, they have a drag factor that really approximates snow-covered roads or wet ice roads. Fletch, what we have here is a 2013 Dodge Charger patrol car. It's outfitted with the Dodge's HEMI 5.7 liter HEMI. Produces about 370 horsepower. It's complete with stability control, traction control, and anti-lock brakes.
Mike, what maneuvers are we about to see?
Well, to begin with in our training program, we will do the serpentine maneuver, evasive maneuvering, controlled braking, and one that we call precision maneuvering, which is backing back and forth in an alley that's only about 8 inches wider than the car. We'll continue on with off-road recovery as if you drove off the road over an elevation change. We will also take you out across our skid pad and then give you some time around our performance driving course. We're going to move on to the evasive maneuvering maneuver at this point, exercise. Basically what it simulates is a driver coming into an area and then having an unexpected thing happen to him. The kid on a bicycle comes out of a driveway, etc. And the driver is going to steer around the object, okay? If you look behind us, the entry lane is blocked. There's a barricade there, and it makes the driver have to go left or right. We'll cue him in which direction he needs to go at the very last moment, so he has to make that smooth maneuver away from the hazard.
Mike, this is absolutely amazing being stuck out here. Andy at the wheel doing such a good job. What's next?
Fletch, I'm really glad you're enjoying this training. What we're going to do next is a controlled braking exercise. And again, it simulates the driver being surprised by an event, a hazard that shows up in front of him. However, this time he's going to go to the brakes and maintain directional stability of the car as he steers around whatever the hazard is.
Fletch, the next maneuver we're going to do is called skid control. We're going to use a different vehicle, especially equipped with slick tires on the back end that allows us to put the student into a skid and then show effective ways to deal with that skid. Fletch, this is a Crown Victoria patrol car. It's got a 4.6 liter V8 in it. Also specially equipped out here for the skid pad. It's got the 5-point harnesses here in the front along with the slick tires on the rear end. What we're going to demonstrate here is a complete loss of control. Fletch, this is what we're going to do next. We're going to take a trip around our 1 mile performance course, which is a road course with 10 turns. Jump in.
Mike, what can I say? That was one of the most exciting afternoons I've had in a long time.
Fletch, I'm really glad you enjoyed it and were able to make it here.
It's just awesome. Before we go, just give us a quick rundown on this big old girl here.
Oh, this is one of the last of the dinosaurs. It was a 75, or is a 75 Plymouth Grand Fury. It was actually a patrol car that was used for its entire career, and then we preserved it into our historical fleet. So she did a whole career out on the road.
And it hosts a 440 under the hood?
440, yes, sir. You can hear it in the background.
Back in the days of the Blues Brothers, the Dukes of Hazzard, the whole list goes on and on. Mike, thank you so much again. It's a message, though. It really is. I mean, it's plain and simple. If you think that you can drive and outrun these guys, believe me, you're having yourself on. You're dreaming.
I appreciate that vote of confidence, Fletch.
There's not many people I'd get into a car and do that with this afternoon, but I tell you what, you know, you just felt so remarkably safe. You know, you guys do everything so well, and it's a reflection of the training, the discipline, the regiment that you guys stand for, and what more can we say?
Absolutely. Performance driving is all about the eyes and being smooth in the vehicle. And once you develop those skills, the car will go around here extremely fast.
Good on you. Mike, thank you very much again.
That Fletch, it was nice meeting you.
Thank you. Don't kill me, Andy.
I promise I'll try not to.
Don't forget to like Classic Restos on Facebook. Facebook.com/Classic Restos TV. And episodes can be seen at Shannons.com.au.
Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance, National Parts Depot and Penrite Oil.